and written-wise and everything. So every movement became extremely loaded, without this kind of loading it like, you know, like this is so important, this kind of virtuosity loading, but it was really like loaded through memory and through experience. So this became, so another, after 3-4 years, it became a bit problematic, and then I started finding another method which basically said that, again, if we as people are the problem, I should, and I cannot put you as a problem in the center, I should find a problem that you come to. So basically means that, or you can use yourself as. So we started copying things. So in the production called God Exists, the Mother is Present, but they no longer care, I started to making a performance based on, so I was working with Hannah Arendt's text on violence, which relates between violent power and violence. There we started working with photographies of war. So every dancer got these war photos, big like books, and they started choosing 30 images of these photos, and they have to be 15 how to say, 15 which do the wall. I mean, oppressors and victims. So like 15 of each. So we started basically copy the images. So everybody started copying the images, and then they had all this material. So then I said that if the problem is you, then I'm not going to use anything of you. I'm just going to, in a way, get you to approach this all the time. So we meet there. We put something in the center that everybody could go to. So in this way, I didn't need to deal with anybody's personal trauma or involved like this, but everything was indirectly to the way that you're dealing with this. And then this also became richer in a sense as a material, because we, like for example, when we started working with photography, then we have to understand, for example, what is photography on stage in a context. So if I'm standing like this, I'm showing an image of shooting somebody, but is it that's acting? What does it mean if I physicalize this? So in a way, what is the weight of the hand? What does it mean to move an image on stage? Yeah, all this kind of question came up. When do I lose the image? When the image becomes movement only, and when it becomes, so let's say if I'm standing like this, is this, so I'm representing a certain image, everybody understand it? If I start to do this, then it becomes, let's say we call it theatrical, because I'm pretending that I'm gonna shoot somebody. If I'm doing the gun like this, then almost now the gun is gone, because now it looks like another movement. So we started finding, I mean, I'm going very fast, but we started finding all these layers that, so what we call, now we are moving an image. So from the concrete and the theatricality of the image until the image vanishes, that's the sequence of this image, moving this image, something like this. So we started finding many ways of this way of working. During that time, I'm going to talk a bit faster now. I'm going to stop and I'm going to question. If you want a question, just stop me. The other thing is that we started. So this thing that we worked with is that when I was traveling during this after 9/11 thing, and before that I was traveling with, because first when I come to Norway I had this refugee passport, and then you get stopped anyway because you have a refugee passport, and everybody thinks you're going to get refugee in this country, so it's okay. But then I got a Norwegian passport, and I thought in one way traveling would be much easier, but at the same time, since it's written in your passport that you're born in Tehran in Iran, and it will, I mean, it created certain stops, so they could stop you and ask you many questions and stuff, which was okay in a sense, because then I started a certain idea that when they stop me, they actually don't stop me. They stop an image of me. Mm-hmm. So it's not me. It's just an image which, in a way, media has created. So if media can create this, it means that I can be many different people. So I can choose to be the difficult one or not difficult one. As long as I don't take it personally, I can play with this as much as I want. So when I understood this a bit, I understood similar thing with the public, is that public sees and reads so many strange stuff in media that actually at a certain point I can just sit there and, like puke blood. And they have read that I'm from Iran and and when they put this thing together, I don't actually need to have anything to say because they just make it. I just need to manipulate these images like just very concrete and very precise, and then it will work. Just like, and I don't need to have any meaning actually, or have, I don't need to precise my meaning, I just need to precise the actions basically, which will create the meaning. So this became like, so I started playing with this, and then I made performances out of this place. For example, I was stopped in London when I was on my way out, because after the bombing in London, British, this bombing that happened in London with the bus, Britain had a huge problem. Because normally when you enter a country, they always check you 50 times when you enter a country as a foreigner, because they don't want foreigners to come in. But when you leave, they're actually happy that you're actually leaving their country. So they don't check, they don't even ask. I have come out of Switzerland without any passport. They just said, I had this faxed from Norwegian embassy because I lost my passport. And they didn't even call, they just said, have a nice trip. Because of course, as long as the fucker goes, that's fine. Somebody else's problem, like this is mean. But in London, after the bombing, this became a huge problem, because when the bombing happens, you don't want actually anybody to leave the country before you check them. You want all the borders to be extremely closed because you need to check everybody who's leaving out. But this they didn't understood before a couple of, like 1 week or something, so it was already too late. So when they were leaving out, they were always upset. They basically checked everybody. So of course I come there, and there stands a British guy, but he's a Sikh, Indian Sikh, with a turban and stuff. And he takes my passport and reads, and he says, "Please follow me." And I started laughing because I was in London for a wedding of my cousin, and they're rich fuckers, and it's terrible. I was so provoked by their wedding that I just wanted to get the fuck out of this place. And the family things that, my mother suddenly stands to talk about with somebody that, earned 50 times more than me, that my son is like, but I mean, they don't care. They're just like, you see that they're just into materialistic shit. So, like, I was so provoked that I want to just get out of London. So I'm on my way out, and then the guy, Indian Sikh, stops me, and I start to laugh so heavily. And the guy gives my passport to this British white guy, and the guy says, "Why do you laugh?" And I said, "I don't know, an Indian Sikh stops an Iranian and gives his passport to British man. It's not much which has changed in history," I said. And then I started to laugh because, Iranians have this kind of thing that it's always British fault, everything is British fault. It's just a joke. And of course, there's always these Iranian movies that with this with Indian soldiers, which are like going everywhere in Iran in this all day. So then this kind of thing, it just like reminded me of the situation. And the guy said, "But I don't understand it." I said, "But maybe you should read your history, like you were colonist, you had Indian people, and then you brought Indians everywhere with you as military, you understand, you know this history." "Yes, but what does has?" I said, "Come on, just get it over with." "Yes, just this is my passport, I would like." But then he started asking me a question like, "What are you doing in Norway?" And this is the fun part that starts. I always like this part. And I said to him, "What do you mean what I'm doing in Norway? What are you doing in London?" He says, "No, what are you doing in Norway?" I said, "You're asking me Norwegian, what is my citizenship? Can you read?" He says, "Yes, it's written in Norway." I said, "So why I ask you a Norwegian person, what is he doing in Norway? I'm Norwegian, what the fuck are you asking me for?" "No, but you're born in Tehran." I said, "That's not the point, you're not immigrant police. I have done my immigrant shit, whatever it is, I'm a Norwegian citizen now. So what are you asking?" So he started pushing it, and I started pushing this thing. the thing is that, of course, I know this guy is nice. I mean, he can put me in jail for 1 week without any problem. I mean, he doesn't have to even have a reason. He just puts me there. So of course he follows me, and I mean, let's hope that they don't take anybody just for fun of it, but they just. And of course, for me, I misuse it because I haven't done anything. I mean, I said to him at the end, why are you asking me all these strange questions? Just go inside, punch in my name, you will see exactly where I've been for the last 5 years. All my entrances and exits will be basically there, so I don't understand what you're bothering me for. And he left, and he did his check and stuff. So for me, this is the part that I mean playing with this kind of identities. That actually when he stopped me, he doesn't stop me. He stops this kind of image, a certain portrait that he has made or somebody has made for him. So as long as I don't take it personally, I can play with it as much as I want. I can play this character, you know, like. So I started playing with a similar thing and similar translation within the performances. So if I come now to this performance, so for example, we did images of war, where we worked with images of war, and then the next piece we worked a lot with animal movement, where basically we copied lots of animals, but it was not, we didn't want to become the animal, so it was not meant that, oh, when you see us, that's the donkey or that's a monkey. But we looked at animals, we looked like planet Earth for like hours and hours. And then we copied many different ways of moving. So the neck of a snake, or the neck of this bird, and then I put the neck on my hand. So I basically, after a while, the dancers they had become an animal themselves. So everybody had like 2 hours of material, of movement material, and these materials were categorized as aggression or softness or whatever. So if you came in different relation with different people, you use different material to connect or disconnect with these people. We also removed the faces, basically, so they all had like, they covered their faces with white cloth, which also made them that they could not see more than 30% of the thing everywhere. So they had to listen to each other pretty well, which made it very strange atmosphere in the room. So in a way, the last piece that I was talking about, it was I was called it very animalistic, in the sense that as any animal, as you understand, animals do not negotiate, in the sense that they have a certain functions, so they don't negotiate. It's not like you know, the ice bear feels that, whoa, the ice is gone, so I'm just gonna learn to swim to survive. They just die, basically. And, you know, it's just the fact. They don't deal. They're not actually they're not so good with dealing with nature. When the nature changes, they vanish, in a sense, because they function like this. So we became a bit like this in the performance. We functioned in the way they functioned. So the performance was, that's why I think also was difficult to cut in the text into the performance, because the performance did not negotiate. It was very funny performance in the sense that even composition-wise, when this doesn't fit, I'm going to change it more like this and it's going to be better, it didn't work. It really looked that somebody just went in, you know, like when you see nature that is just somebody has been fixing it, like, okay, it looked really like this, but when it worked itself into something that worked much better. So if everybody just did it again and again and again until something resolved itself, which was, after that, while we were working on this performance, fast forward, and I had this discussion with myself that the performances are started becoming more and more very sterile, sterile, yeah, and really clean and really like neat. The whole Iranian uprising started with the election in 3 years ago?
2009.
Yeah. So then it started the whole thing, and then and it was very funny. I was in Berlin, we were working House School to the Welt with installation and performances, and then everybody was saying, it's going to be election in your country, soon. I was thinking, we don't have election in 2 years. Of course, I was thinking Norway. I mean, I didn't look at myself Iranian in the sense that Iran has an election, because I don't vote. I don't have such relationship with Iran, so I don't know. In this sense, you know, I'm very busy with politics of it, but not this kind of everyday thing of it, because I'm so then it's going to be very interesting, and of course this green movement and stuff. And you know, as probably many Iranians, or at least most of them, I think, I was just like, yeah, but they're not going to win anyway, so it's going to be okay. And if they win, I mean, you know, he's a mullah anyway. He just goes with the suits for now. So, I mean, who cares? I don't think it's going to be such a big change, you know? At least this was my reading of it. Again, understanding that, just to understand for you, I don't live in Iran, so I have very clear relationship to it, in the sense that Iranians who live there is their right, is not my right. I know many Iranians have lots of strange ideas about this country, but in a way I don't, because in a way it's part of, I grew up there and I learn a lot there and I still learn a lot from that country, but it's not mine, because I don't live there. If I move there and I start to live there, then it becomes mine again, but it's not mine. So it means that I don't involve myself. If some people think that it's very hopeful to vote for the green people, I mean, and they live there, of course it's their right. So anyway, but for me I had always this kind of thing that this will not change, and then the whole demonstration arrived and all this kind of thing, and actually it really provoked such thing in me that I haven't had for a long time. I'm not saying patriotic thing. I think later on I felt that it brought something that when the first revolution, Iranian revolution happened, was I was 6.5 or something. And I think it provoked some extreme images from that time, at least for me. This kind of, when I looked at the images, I really remembered this kind of people running, and so this kind of childhood memory, which I totally forgot, just burst out in such a strange way. So in Berlin, we cancelled our installation in that day, and I did what I call demonstration for nothing. They had built this huge stage in the middle of the pond, water pond, and I was performing there for 2 hours alone, and then I could meet the public afterwards and have discussions. So this was what I call demonstration for nothing. So then I did that, and from then on it started this kind of installation and work that we did around these issues. I thought I'm going to show the image to the end. So we did performance in Paris, in Prague, and in different Bergen, different places where we worked a lot with these images of revolution, basically. Still, for 5 years ago, I wrote a performance called Revolution. I mean, because I have to write application to government, you know, like cultural art councils. Once I wrote like this 10-year plan. I applied for 10 years from there, which is not normally done, because you do maximum 4 years you can apply. But I had this thing that I said that nobody actually looked at my artistic thing to live on more than 4 years, and I think it's a bit strange. So I'm gonna give it 10 years. So I wrote like 10 years plan for Imperial Company, and like 25 different projects and stuff like this. So I wrote like 150 pages of things. And this was just for me to also have a document that at that time this is the way I look at wanting to my future to be. So something like this, and for them it was also challenging them to look at things differently. Mm-hmm. So we did that, and then in there I had this the performance which I told you was this. It's called God exists, the mother is present, but they no longer care. This worked with power and violence. Then we made an installation called Once Upon a Time Country. This Once Upon a Time Country deals with mainly installation about this utopia that I talked about, which is this country which has no religion, but they have built places of worship that you can worship, but they're totally against religion. For example, you're not allowed to be more than one to believe. At the moment you convert the other and you become two, you can end up in jail. So there are this kind of, and I wrote lots of like manifests like this, that for example at schools they teach nothing to not understand. So they're like teaching of not understanding. How is it to not understand, and all these kind of things that we wrote. I developed with a philosopher. So then, yeah.
I just have a question before I have to go.
Yes.
Sorry. I'm really interested in the discussion around the 22nd of July and you had like a dialogue with
Uh-huh.
other artists. What came out of that, and what do you feel around that? Did you get any wiser?
I mean, we did the talk with Pia Maria Roll and me and Peruad, which is a choreographer at Black Box Theatre, and I just actually wrote the text for Shakespeare Tidskrift about 22nd of July, and it was not meant to, I mean, we just wanted to talk about it because at that time we felt some people were talking about 22nd of July, but not so in a way that, I mean, yeah, it was, I don't think, we didn't come in such way long about it. I think it was mainly to discuss, I had some opinion which I wrote in this text, and the days that we talked, so I can talk about mainly myself, from my point of view, was that I felt that, I mean, I wrote also in this text that it was the first time ever that I felt that I'm a foreigner in Norway. I've normally never felt it before, that I'm a foreigner. And there are different reasons.
Before the 22nd of July?
Yeah. There are certain reasons for it. One is that for me, I suddenly understood that coming from Iran to, I think, I mean, sorry if I said something wrong, but if I felt that we have a culture of sorrowing. I mean, sorry, mourn. To have a mourn in official places. You really know. We have Ashura, these happenings that like there this kind of. Even if a mother you see in images, the mother throws themselves and hit themselves when they. I think they know that this is it's a private thing in an official space. So you really have clear differences between official spaces, public spaces, and private spaces. While I saw Norwegian are really reacting to this very private, and they really don't understand what does it mean to that we are a society, to mourn together, but in the official. So even when you look at in the rows carrying, like it was really like, it looked like, many people said I have been attacked, but I didn't feel that I was attacked. I didn't feel Norway as a country was attacked. I didn't feel that our basic thing has been attacked. Because, he attacked. I mean, no, don't misunderstand me. I have total empathy with people who died, and I think their life is changed. People who died and people who close to them died and stuff. This I understand. But you want to maybe say that?
No, it was just react because for me it was, I never felt more Norwegian than before the 22nd of July. So it's very interesting to listen to other
because for me, and then it was this, and then the other part was this thing that happened, which was very nice, at the same time scary as fuck. Everybody was nice to each other. This is a scary thing. For me, this was scary. Because one, it told me that we were not like this before. You understand what, we haven't been like this. We could really see each other I have never seen so many people look me in the eye, directly, and sit and just talk, without any. So when this thing happened, it really, this moment reminded me of how it has been. And then, this was okay, and then I started to become scared that we will go back to this thing, because this is just a matter of time that we go back to normality. It's just not, we're not going to stay in shock. This is not going to happen. We're going to have our salaries in, and then we're going to have our caffelates, and then we started going, this is going to happen. This is just the way. Because again, I don't think it will shake our world. It's not, because also we don't have a government like this. We don't have government like United States government. You saw it very clearly, even the most right-wing fuck, like, see, she shut up. She understood that now she has to behave differently. So even that, even the most radical, right-wing radical ones, they understood that they have to be proper. So I think this kind of thing made me a bit like outsider, because I really did not think that it would do anything with it, with our society in such way. So that's why, I mean, this was one of the issues that we discussed in that day. And yeah, there were people there that really felt that, yeah, they were attacked. Really, they.
Mm.
And I think at that point also, I mean, I grew up in a country where the people and government is two different things.
Mm.
I can vote for the government, but it's not me. And I had this similar thing when the Dunson's house opened. Everybody said, like, happy birthday, like, gratulerer med dagen. This is your house. And I was so provoked. My house, fuck you, this is not my house. My house is over there, this is mine. I mean, even mine is not mine because I have to take a loan from the bank, so maybe I own the toilet now, but I mean, the rest, it's just like the idea, and I felt this is really strange, this kind of, that they give the public ownership to a persona, and that's a bit strange. The same thing that I hear many people say that, I don't want my tax money to go to, no, shut the fuck up, it's not your tax money. At the moment you paid it, it's ours. There is a difference between mine and ours. You know, I learned this very as a child. Mine, I don't need to share, but it's nice of you to share. You know? Ours, you have to share. There's no choice. You have to share it. It's not that I can say, but no, I don't like you, I take this. No. It's called ours. And I think this is something which I was not so aware of it before in Norway, which I really became aware after this. That it is a huge difference. I mean, the idea of mine and ours is really has not been, what's called, established itself in our society. And maybe because we are small, we're just too small. 4.5 million, so in a way everybody's, you know, everything is mine in one way or the other. I don't know. So we talked about these things a lot.
And then people stopped looking at you and talking to you now. Like, I feel this big change from after, it's like a few weeks.
I think
Has it gone back?
I think for me it went back. I think actually it went back a week after. For me, I really felt it in Grünerløkka. People started dressing nice. It became that weather. People started coming out more. Of course, still today, if you started talking about that day, people having memory of it, you know, and then they started talk, and it's easy to talk with anybody about that situation. You know, everybody has opinion about it, you know, like this kind of, and of course, everybody has this kind of, you know, these Americans, New Yorkers have always this kind of idea about 11th September. It was very strange morning, you know, like this kind of, the sun was such great. No, fucker, it was normal. It's just, you just remember it differently because, again, that's the way we deal with mourning, you know. If I talk with my mother called me, so my uncle died, and then it continues directly after. Yeah, the brothers were there and carrying him, and he asked to be coming home the night before. So strange. I don't think it's like this. It's just that afterwards, everything that happened the day before became such a big thing, because it's a way of dealing with death, I think, or vanishment, or something, and it makes it poetic, more reachable, and you know, I don't know, gives it more feeling, colors. I mean, to understand it, maybe I don't know.
So it's basically manipulation of language of poetry, right?
Something like this, or just our normal way, human way of dealing with when something is gone, losing something. I think. But yeah, I don't know really. I think for us, when it comes to 22nd of July, is to we have to have some time to understand what has actually been. I mean, the effect that I think it was done was basically, FRP lost 10%, and conservative gain. That's pretty clear thing that happened. How long it's gonna stay like this, we don't know. But I mean, FRP was fucking up pretty much before that also. They just needed this little push of this guy.